going on, Vol fans? Welcome into Tennessee Football Talk. My name is Joey Petersen. Coming up on today's show, we're going to go over some winners and losers, in my opinion, from yesterday's orange and white game. Now, I do want to tell you, put out a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm not selling stock on anybody. I'm not drawing conclusions about anything that I saw yesterday because it was a spring game, right? I said this on social media just about 5 days ago. If I would have taken my opinions and put them in concrete from the spring game in 2021, I would have thought Brian Maurer was going to be the starting quarterback and that Hendon Hooker was quarterback 3. Obviously, and praise the Lord, that was not the case, okay? So I get it. Spring game is a very small indicator of what's going to eventually happen in August, but it's still something, right? It's still something I think we need to discuss. So when I talk winners and losers, I'm not talking about guys who suck when it comes to the losers. I'm just talking about guys whose stocks may have risen since yesterday's spring game and stocks that may have fallen since yesterday as well. Appreciate you guys for being here. If this is your first time, make sure you subscribe, lock yourself in for daily Vols coverage. All right, let's get into the winners first. I've got 5 winners. I've got 3 losers. I want to start off with Javin Gordon, the Tulane running back, transfer portal addition from a few months ago. And this was a guy that you landed in the portal that really, obviously we covered it. We talked about it. We were excited about it. But it wasn't one of those like headline premier players that if you were going to put out a ranking of like, hey, Tennessee's top 5 transfer portal additions, Javin Gordon was never going to make that list, right? He was just finished his true freshman season with the Green Wave, had a fine year. Like it wasn't anything unbelievable, but that's kind of why the signing flew under the radar. But very quickly into his time at Tennessee, he's been turning heads. We actually talked about Gordon last Sunday on a video about how he's one of the most underrated players on this roster and how he actually has a really big opportunity to make a big impact at the running back position. And then he goes out in the spring game and rips off a 61-yard touchdown run where he showcased a ton, ability to break tackles, acceleration. Like you saw everything you need to see from a running back from Javin Gordon yesterday. And he got a lot of run too. Obviously, Deshaun Bishop was kind of given the veteran treatment of, hey, look, you're good. We don't need to see a lot from you today. Just make sure you're ready to go by week 1. Look, I think the thing that I love most about Javin Gordon is his fit with this room and his fit with Deshaun Bishop. Those two guys, stylistically, are 2 very different running backs. They complement each other very, very well, and I love that for this room. I also think he pushes Dwayne Morris a lot, who's got a lot of shimmy to him as well, who I think is going to be a great back in the future for Tennessee. But, man, I think Javin Gordon had a really, really good day yesterday. And I think right now, if you look back at the transfer portal, he's a lot higher on people's boards than maybe originally. I think the next winner, I'm just going to say, this might be a little bit of a cop-out, I'm just going to say Tennessee's defense as a whole. One thing I noticed yesterday was that Jim Knowles was being really, really aggressive, which I love. Right? I think that's awesome from Knowles, that he's scheming up lots of nickel blitzes, cornerback blitzes, safety blitzes, stunts up. Like you saw kind of Jim Knowles get into his bag. And I just think this defense is much further along than originally anticipated. I think that it helps a ton that Anthony Poindexter and a couple other position coaches, Andrew Jackson on the defensive line being one of them, and then even some analysts who you might not even know the names of. All of those guys that were with Jim Knowles last year in Penn State for their first year last year at Penn State, for them to have gotten that time together, to now be together at Tennessee, is such a massive, massive benefit. Because where last year, and we talked about this I think on Monday, Jim Knowles was teaching Anthony Poindexter things, kind of teaching Anthony Poindexter how to teach the safeties, right? Now Anthony Poindexter knows everything. AP knows the ins and outs of everything Jim Knowles likes and wants and runs, right? And so I think that's just going to help everything in and of itself. The Penn State guys who have come in have been phenomenal. And I just think this defense as a whole, while sure, it is only spring, we don't want to overreact to the good things either. We want to kind of keep our reactions all within a confined space. They're much further along than originally thought. I think we all would have taken this, right? If you would have told us once you hired Jim Knowles in December, hey, come April, Would you rather the offense being talked about as amazing or the defense? Every single one of us would have signed up for defense, defense, defense. Tennessee's defense is our second winner. Our third winner is Xavier Gilliam. Talking about the Penn State transfers, defensive lineman, defensive tackle, showed some flash yesterday, but just has consistently shown flash all spring long. I actually feel like Javin Gordon's up there. Of all of the guys who have risen their transfer portal stock, Xavier Gilliam is number one. In fact, I think if you re-rank your additions, Xavier Gilliam just might be number one overall because of how phenomenal he's been from the interior. And because of the things that's going on with the defensive line and Chaz Coleman, more on that in just a second. They're kind of having to get creative with him and kind of put him all across the defensive line, and he's handled it great. We've heard a lot about the interior offensive line struggling a little bit, giving up some quarterback pressure, and I do think part of that might just be the fact that Xavier Gilliam is a really good player as well, okay? Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that, but I think that a lot of people have been impressed with how Gilliam has played so far. Cooper Ranvier, the kicker, is my next winner, and I know this sounds silly, but think about the things we're talking about right now in mid-April. The defense. Your defense was horrible last year, and now we're giving it a thumbs up. Thank you, QuickTime movie player. The second thing, kicking. Max Gilbert, second he entered the transfer portal. Everybody was so incredibly excited. Now he ends up in Arkansas. You get Cooper Ranvier from Louisville, and he gets a chance to shine yesterday, and he does it. I'm not going to go deep into the mechanics. I'm not going to go deep into him as a player. I'm not qualified to do that. But, when you drill everything that goes your way, multiple from 50, multiple from 40, you're going to be a winner on this list, especially when the kicking situation was so dire last season. Last winner is Ryan Staub. Now, I don't think Ryan Staub is legitimately going to compete to be the starting quarterback on this roster. But everything that came out of yesterday was like, hey, Ryan Staub actually probably had the best day. Now, there's an easy explanation for that. Ryan Staub has played the most football. That's it, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ryan Staub has started games at the collegiate level. Ryan Staub is over the age of 17, which Faison Brandon is right now. And so you can explain his success pretty easily, but that doesn't mean he didn't have success. And the one thing we know about Josh Heupel, which he proved last year, he's always going to go with the guy he believes is most reliable. Now, you could argue, he made the wrong decision with Joe Milton and Hendon Hooker his first year. Yeah, you could say that. It was his first year, and, that was a long time ago. But since then, it's pretty easily been the guy he's going to choose is going to be the most reliable one, right? Chose Joe Milton over Nico in year two. Chose Nico over some younger guys in his third year. Obviously, last year, maybe I'm missing a year in between that. Obviously, Hendon was the correct choice in year two because of what he showed in year one. And then it went Joe, and then it went Nico, and then it went Joey. You guys get what I'm saying. He's going to go with the most reliable guy, so maybe for that reason, I think Ryan Staub has a punter's chance. I still think it's going to be Faison or George, and I still think, even though what we saw yesterday, I still think that Faison probably has the upper hand just because of how close that battle is right now, and he's only gotten 3 months of collegiate development. But I will say, Ryan Staub impressed a lot of people yesterday. Real quick, we're going to go down to 3 losers. I think number one is the defensive line. And I think it's funny because obviously I mentioned, Xavier Gilliam being a winner. But when I just think of all the defensive line has gone through for the past 3 weeks with the David Hobbs injury, sidelining him for the rest of the spring, with everything going on with Chaz Coleman, him not even being there yesterday. Josh Heupel did talk about that, said, hey, look, he's dealing with some personal things. We're going to be there for him, supporting him. But, man, I think the defensive line is definitely a loser on this list. I think this one might be controversial because I'm one and you are one. I think Tennessee fans are losers from yesterday. Look, the overreactions I'm seeing on social media are unbelievable, okay? The fact that people are drawing conclusions from a spring game, to me, is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, okay? These guys like Faison Brandon, have been playing college football for 3 months. Not even, have really been playing college football for 4 weeks. And we're drawing conclusions. You don't even know who's out there. I posted a clip of Faison where he scrambled, and somebody was like, yeesh, that left side of the offensive line is going to be trouble for the Vols this year. And it was like all the threes. And so it's just like everything we saw, we just need to take with a grain of salt and try our hardest not to overreact to it. And if you do, then I'm sorry, you're going to be a loser on this list because it's 4 months till August. No team has ever felt like they look good in spring. That's just kind of how football works. And last up on my losers list is Luca Wolf. Again, he's a true freshman. I'm not selling my Luca Wolf stock, but I was kind of following along because we're down here in Dallas, Texas, so couldn't make my way to the game yesterday, unfortunately, and they did not have it televised. But I was kind of keeping along. I think it was Knox News that kind of did like play-by-play almost, but just like updates online. And every single, there's 3 straight drives when he was in where it was like Luca Wolf drop. So he's going to make his way on the loser list, even though I don't really care. He's young. He also is, an international player who just has not played among the best of American football, so he's going to grow. I don't care. Luca, you're fine. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back again in studio tomorrow. A little bit of a disclaimer. Not this week, but the week after. Might go a day or two without a video just because it's the NFL draft. Again, not this next weekend, but the weekend after. And those are 15-hour days for us at Chat Sports. Live shows. It's craziness. Obviously, I cover 2 NFL teams. So that'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It'll be 45 hours, and it's going to be a lot. So I'll get to a Vols video if/when I can. But, of course, we're going to have Kevin all next week, so make sure you like us and subscribe.